today who you'll get to hear from. Particularly want to recognize one in particular. Debbie Esparza was recognized this weekend as Advocate of the Year by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. You'll get to hear from Debbie shortly, along with our leader of the International Rescue Committee, who works with Commissioner Irby and others to make sure we live by our values and are a welcoming community. In terms of women's leadership at the City of Phoenix, we had a milestone 2 weeks ago. We swore in 5 elected officials, and it turns out for the second time in our city's history, all 5 were women. So we have a supermajority of women leaders at the City of Phoenix Council, and that also comes at a time when our governor, our treasurer, our attorney general, and more are women elected leaders. There are cities such as New York City, never had a female mayor, states that have never had a female governor, and in Arizona, we have a pretty good record. We ought to be proud of that. Some of you were with me at inauguration, and I shared a little bit about my story and path to running, which was a little bit of a bumpy one. In 2017, Greg Stanton was serving as our mayor and announced he'd be departing to run for Congress. It was a tumultuous year in my life. My mom, who is a great partner in all things, had been diagnosed with late-stage cancer and given a relatively short window in which her doctors expected her to live. I was pregnant at the time, and then my marriage fell apart, and so it was what I had gone from what I thought was like a super stable personal situation to one with a little bit too much excitement for me. And originally I was like, okay, I can't make progress in my career. There was just too much going on, and I just have to slow down. But it really ate me up when I made that decision. I had wanted to run for mayor, and so saying I couldn't because of my personal life was really hard. I listened to 90s country, and every time certain songs about, I hope you, when you get the chance to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. Every time it came on, it like ate me up because I was not dancing. And so eventually I just talked with particularly a group of female friends who said, we got your back, we're gonna make sure you can be a great mom to your infant, do a good job at the city council, and still run for mayor. And so I ended up deciding to run, and I'm so glad I did it. And I always like to share that story because no one will have that same path, but I imagine you're all dealing with something in your personal life that's a little bit complicating. And so I think if you wait until your life is perfect, you'll miss out on so many opportunities. And my life has never been perfect. So I think go for it. I guess we'll take a poll. Anyone in here have a perfect life? I think it's important for us to remember, though, right? Everyone has something going on, and we ought to remember that in how we treat each other, but also not be held back. There is research that says if women see a job description with 10 bullet points of things that are qualifications, many women will not apply unless they can meet all 10. And there'll be guys out there who are like, I got 2. I'm going for it, I'm qualified. And that's true of many different groups who have disadvantages. So we ought to be our own supporters, and we need our tribes to cheer us on, and I hope that some of the women in this room will do that for you. The women of the City Council and I, as well as the great gentlemen who serve, are trying to champion programs that lift women up and deliver equity in Phoenix. We passed unanimously an equal pay ordinance at the city. We have invested in paid family leave at 12 weeks so that you can, for both men and women, spend time with your family and keep your career on track. We're trying to make the city a more friendly place for mothers, including creating space at the convention center, airport, and more for nursing moms to have a place to nurse while on the go. In areas where we don't have quite the workforce equity we hope to have, we have programs such as our 30 by 30 program with the police department, where we are trying to get 30% of our sworn police officers to be women by 2030, and we got a great team in the back over there who can talk to you if you are interested. We are also trying to support women entrepreneurs, including making sure that there is access to financing if you want to grow your businesses. We have small microloan programs, including one partnership with the Better Business Bureau. If you're trying to really scale and grow at a larger rate, we have partnerships that try to get women first angel and then venture capital investing. So one partnership is with Golden Seeds, which is a great nonprofit or great investment collaborative of women who try to invest in women-led companies, and they've had some incredible success stories. The city is also trying to make sure that women get the chance to pitch to venture capital investors. So those are the investors that really try to invest in incredibly quickly growing companies, and overwhelmingly the companies raising venture capital funds are led by men, but we're hoping to do our part to close that gap. And so we have opportunities through the city in certain sectors where we can get women in front of the best pitch opportunities. One that'll come up soon is in biosciences. The city is gonna sponsor a competition called Startup Stadium for healthcare and bioscience companies, and really try to make sure some of our female entrepreneurs get the chance to pitch. We know right now that the majority of companies in the healthcare space are looking at solutions focused on men. So if you buy a medical or a wearable technology, often a smartwatch or a ring to track your health, it apparently assumes you're male. That's the default. And so we are working with a group of women in healthcare to try to make Phoenix a hub of what we call femtech, so healthcare technology for women. We have incredible companies here already that are in that space, from wearable technologies to a company called The Pause that helps use AI technology to help women navigate menopause. We hope that by supporting these companies, we will have economic success, but also better healthcare outcomes. We want Phoenix to be the spot for women who have healthcare challenges to navigate those. And we're really excited about the investments we're making in that area. You heard in the introduction, we're building a medical school with ASU just blocks from here. And we're hoping they'll be very forward-thinking and really try to improve health outcomes throughout our community. And we have great leaders on the Women's Commission, including its chair, who are pioneers in this space. So thank you, Dr. Ross, for your leadership. You also got to hear about our major investment from Taiwan Semiconductor. So when we submitted the bio, I think it was accurate that it was a $65 billion. It is now $165 billion. Some of the cool things that are happening there, the woman who is the Arizona CEO is a woman. That's pretty unusual in semiconductors and tech. And if you look at some of the workforce, there's some really exciting stories. 20% of the iron workers are Navajo women, which is pretty incredible. And just so fun inspiring to meet with these women. I met with one who told me she made $8,000 in her first 3 weeks building the semiconductor fab, and that allows her to care for multiple generations of her family. So some good news in that area. We're seeing a lot of change right now, and I think that's why spaces like this are so important to reflect. The theme this year really meets the moment. Bloom where you are planted. Reminds us that no matter what's going on, we all deserve the opportunity to grow, thrive, and succeed. We also gotta stay close to our roots and to nurture the communities around us. I hope that you find something today that helps you with your next steps and navigate where you are, a little dose of inspiration and a little bit of a chance to make new friends as well as deepen existing connections. Have a great forum.
Thank you, Mayor Kate, for just coming up here and rocking it. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. At this time, we will proceed with our agenda, and I'd like to bring to the platform right now the Executive Director with the International Rescue Committee, Aaron Rippin-Kroger. Put your hands together as he comes to have remarks at this time. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be here, and thank you very much, Commissioner Irby, Mayor Gallego, all the members of the Phoenix Women's Commission, the YWCA, Phoenix Convention Center, and all the sponsors who made this event possible, including Valley Metro and 19 North, where we were all standing with our raincoats on last March, and hopefully we'll be back there again this fall with the commission. So I work for the International Rescue Committee, the IRC here in Arizona, which has been providing services for refugees and people displaced by war and persecution for over 90 years, people from all over the world, and for over 30 years here in Phoenix. The majority of these people are women and girls. These women and girls arrive to Arizona with a vast array of skills and backgrounds, but the majority have experienced some degree, sometimes an extreme degree, of social and economic marginalization in their countries of origin and during their time of displacement, where they may have spent years or decades on the move, country to country, or in refugee camps, urban or remote, before having the exceedingly rare opportunity to be resettled here in the United States. Arriving to Arizona, these women may confront many challenges and at the same time the opportunity to enter the workforce, earn an income, and provide for themselves and their families. The IRC works with these clients, and specifically these women, to help ease the adjustment process and expand the opportunities they have to become the drivers of their own success and of the success of their family and of those around them. We have a variety of programs that support this integration process, but I would like to highlight the IRC's economic empowerment programs, which are committed to increasing the number of women pursuing entrepreneurship and achieving financial independence. One of our inspiring small business owners, Merci Watunda of Lagu Zairoa Catering, is here and will be speaking shortly after me in a few minutes to talk about her journey of resilience and success. IRC's economic empowerment programs support women in building self-sufficiency and stability through asset development, helping them buy homes, start small businesses, and pursue educational opportunities. Also through our employment and workforce development programs, we provide job readiness support and job placement assistance, empowering many women to enter the workforce for the very first time in their lives. As we gather here today, I want to remind ourselves of what countless studies have shown us over the years, that investing in women not only benefits those women directly, but it also has exponential benefits for their families, their communities, and our collective economy and our society. So I'll end with a quote from Dr. Stella Bosire, who's a doctor and lawyer from Kibera, Kenya, who I think said it best when she said, when a woman has economic power, she lifts up not just herself, but she lifts up her whole community. So we could not agree more, and we are so grateful to be here with you today. It's an honor. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the program.
At this time, I have the great pleasure of bringing up this phenomenal woman, the CEO of YWCA, Debbie Esparza. Please put your hands together and welcome her to the platform.
Hey friends, I gotta tell you, I'm already excited. And just listening to the first few minutes, this is gonna be such a fabulous day. And I went a little bit like this in my remarks, so hang with me, okay? Let's see if it comes together. So I wanna first say thank you to the Phoenix Women's Commission, and all the partners that are here today. Thank you, Mayor Gallego, for the shout out. Folks were with me on Saturday and with a lovely event, so thank you very much. But this, and I wanted to mention something that Commissioner Irby said, that even though this didn't happen in Women's History Month, like, are we only here 1 month?
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Good morning and welcome to the May 21st, 2025 Transportation Infrastructure and Planning Subcommittee meeting. I call the meeting to order and we'll turn to the city attorney to explain public comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on agenda items to be discussed. Comments must be related to the agenda item and the action being considered by the subcommittee. General comments that go beyond the scope of the agenda item must be made in the call to the public session at the end of the agenda. The City Council and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to pending investigations, claims, or litigation. Additionally, any member of the public who appears before the subcommittee in their capacity as a lobbyist must, as required by Phoenix City Code, disclose this fact before addressing the subcommittee. The City Code requires speakers to present their comments in a respectful and courteous manner. Profane language, threats, or personal attacks on members of the public, council members, or staff are not allowed. A person who violates these rules will lose their opportunity to continue to speak. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce the interpreter who is, I believe, sitting downstairs.
Yes, Madam Chair. Good morning. My name is Mario Barajas. I'll be serving as today's Spanish interpreter. I'll take a moment now to introduce myself to our Spanish-speaking audience. Buenos días, yo soy Mario Barajas y voy a estar sirviendo como intérprete a los de habla hispana. Quisiera compartir con ustedes un par de puntos para que podamos llevar a cabo esta junta, la interpretación de una manera correcta. Primeramente queremos pedir, si acaso van a dar un comentario público, favor de hablar claramente y lentamente. Así podemos hacer nuestro trabajo de la manera más completa. Y segundo, además, puede decir todo su comentario sin tener que hacer pausas. Cuando usted termine su comentario, entonces el intérprete le va a interpretar en su totalidad. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next, we move to approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the April 16, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. It unanimously passes. The next, we have consent, and by the way, item 4 was withdrawn, so it's no longer a part of the consent, but items 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Do I have a motion, or are there any questions?
I do have a question about item 6. Sorry.
Okay. And this is item 6. Welcome.
Item 6 is about the Regional Transit Fare Collection System contract, and it's being amended to add additional dollars. Am I correct on that?
Councilwoman, Chair, members of the subcommittee, that is correct.
Okay. We have been in the process for quite some time regarding our fare collection system. And the City of Phoenix works with Valley Metro on this piece. My understanding about the fare collection system is we oversee the boxes, the fare collection actual system. Am I correct?
That is correct. So it is a hosted system, so the vendor does a lot of the support for it, but it does ride on the city's infrastructure. And then Valley Metro does have some contracts for the customer service elements and other elements with the same vendor, but for the technical portion, that's with the City of Phoenix.
Okay, because I want to be clear on this, because sitting on Valley Metro and the dynamics of this fare collection piece, City of Phoenix manages the fare collection boxes.
That is correct, yes. For the VIC system that is here, the Scheiden-Bachmann system, which is the one that takes the cash on the bus, that was procured separately by Valley Metro. So Valley Metro owns the contract for the cash boxes.
For the maintenance of the cash boxes, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But for the VIC system, that contract is, the operation and maintenance for that contract for the next 13 years is with the City of Phoenix.
Correct. And the reason why I'm asking these questions is because when we were going through the process of the fare collection, and I really want it on record, is the fact that there were a lot of pointing fingers at each other when we were trying to upgrade the system. And what I want to try to avoid for the future is there is a clear understanding between the both entities, but what I want to avoid for the future is pointing fingers and just getting it done. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because we're adding additional dollars to this in order for it to function at the level that we need it to function and continue the maintenance of it. Because one of the key pieces of the fare boxes was the maintenance and lack of, and how archaic our system was. So I'm very proud of the fact that we were able to, with the city and Valley Metro and the whole system, we're able then to come together and be able to modernize what we call today, what we consider modernized. It's probably already archaic in other cities, but we modernized ourselves to where the level that we are and to continue to provide the service that is needed across the whole regional system. Because at the end of the day, a rider doesn't know City of Phoenix is managing it. They just think it's Valley Metro. And so we like to keep a seamless system, but be able in the back end to be able to coordinate and make it happen so that it is a seamless system. So that's why I was asking the questions. It wasn't about the contract. It was more about understanding how our fare collection boxes work within our system. So thank you.
Any more questions? Then can I entertain a motion?
I move that we approve the consent items, items 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. It passes unanimously. And now we're going to turn to item 9, which is our Parks and Recreation Summer Program. We're starting to heat up, but we've had a pretty decent May so far. We're blessed.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Cynthia Aguilar, Parks and Recreation Director, is here to present on this item along with her team, which she will introduce.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Each year, the Parks and Recreation Department provides safe and accessible summer programs for youth and families across the city. In addition to offering a wide variety of classes at community centers, as well as sports programs and events in our parks, the department also launches the aquatic season, ensuring community access to public pools and swim lessons. This morning on our team, Deputy Parks and Recreation Director Danielle Poveromo will begin our presentation with an overview of the Phoenix Place summer camps, followed by Assistant Director Brandy Barrett and Aquatic Supervisor Becky Kirk, who will speak about our upcoming 2025 pool season. And with that, I will turn it over to Danielle.
Thank you, Cynthia. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Phoenix Place Summer Camp, which is just a few days away as school is coming to a close. As you know, summer break is a celebrated time of year, a rite of passage for a kid, and the Phoenix Parks and Recreation Department is proud to provide the community with a safe, low-cost, and most importantly, a fun summer experience. The Phoenix Place Summer Camp is an indoor program facilitated at 26 Phoenix community and recreation centers spread throughout the city. Our camps vary in size, but can accommodate 40 to 150 participants. Based on their age groups, participants are split into various groups, and then they rotate through a series of activities to keep them engaged and having fun throughout the day. Our camps run 8 to 10 weeks, and the schedules follow the school district calendar where the specific center is located. And many of our sites offer both a pre- and post-week for overlap to provide additional coverage for parents. Centers also offer volunteer opportunities for teenagers 13 to 15 who are participants from our Phoenix Teens program. This opportunity provides teens with building leadership skills while staying active and engaged over the summer. We're also very proud of our staff to participant ratio being 1 to 15 to ensure there's adequate coverage for the participants while they're at summer camp. Our summer programs are community-based focused and geared towards families where centers are located. Here are 3 examples of our community-focused marketing through flyers. These flyers are distributed to nearby schools, neighborhood associations, and email blasts to past campers, current recreation program participants, such as those in PAC, sports leagues, and various classes. Our flyers are also shared with the communications office to post on various social media platforms. And in addition, we share summer flyers with you, our city council members, which we appreciate that you distribute and promote with your constituents. The Phoenix Parks and Recreation Department is pleased to offer registration options that fit every schedule, need, and budget. For example, sites offer a daily drop-in rate, and new this year, following survey responses from parents and guardians, the department instituted a weekly registration option, so you only need to register for when you need coverage. Our locations range in price for the size of the center, offer amenities, as well as representing the local communities. So how does Phoenix summer camps compare with other Valley organizations and cities? As I mentioned, the Phoenix Place Summer Camp offers a price point to fit everyone's budget. While our cost range is free to $80, most of our 26 sites are well below the cost comparison of other Valley cities and organizations. For example, we offer 7 free sites and 6 sites for just $25 for all 8 weeks at our small centers. As I mentioned, price range is also based on the size of the center and the type of amenities provided. For example, larger centers like Desert West and Longview offer a large gym with multi-purpose space and classrooms for larger group activities, while our smaller sites like Sunny Slope Youth Center and Harmon offer a smaller group of participants opportunities for utilizing a smaller gym or multi-purpose space for group play and activities. No matter what site you choose, your child will be provided with a safe, fun, and engaging day, and also included are 2 field trips that take place over the program. Phoenix is proud to offer an affordable summer camp as compared to similar organizations in nearby cities. Food is a vital resource for us all, but especially children when they're active at summer camp. To help ensure kids are fed, we partner with school districts and community food programs to provide meals that are delivered daily. This is a free service, and kids are provided a nutritious and balanced breakfast, lunch, and snacks that keep them fueled and regulated for the day and provides an opportunity to follow a school lunch schedule. When needed, kids are provided with additional food for the weekend until we see them again on Monday. The Phoenix Plays Summer Camp experience, as you heard me mention, is all based on fun. Our team spends months preparing and developing a filled schedule of arts and crafts, interactive and engaging activities, field trips, sports, specialty themes. We also include special presentations, Wheels on Science, live animals, as well as visits from our park rangers. At co-located sites with Human Services, we'll often offer shared bingo for youth and seniors to both enjoy. Before camp begins, each site hosts an orientation to review the program, expectations, ensure staff have up-to-date contact information, meet the team, as well as answer any questions. This year, we are piloting an online orientation to provide an added convenience for parents and guardians. During camp, each site sends a weekly newsletter in both English and Spanish to keep campers up to date on activities and adventures that are planned for the coming week. At the end of the Phoenix Place Summer Camp, staff distribute a survey to both parents and guardians, as well as participants, to learn about their experience and gather information on our registration process. As I mentioned, we implemented the weekly option based on feedback. We also ask about camp activities, field trips, if things were fun and enriching, as well as marketing. How did they learn about the camp? As well as reasons for choosing the Phoenix Place Summer Camp. In 2024, the top 3 reasons in order were location, price, and staff. And with that, I will turn it over to Assistant Director Brandy Barrett.
Thank you so much, Danielle, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. In 2024, City of Phoenix pools welcomed more than 267,000 visitors with 12,000 participants in swim lessons and recreational swim teams. The city has 29 pools in our inventory. East Lake Pool is currently under renovation, which is expected to be completed in late fall. 5 pools were identified for conversion into neighborhood splash pads as part of the voter-approved general obligation bond program, including Grant, University, Alkire, Maryview, and Holiday. Those conversions will go hand in hand with the renovation of Maryville and Harmon pools into 2 regional pools with improved amenities for the public. The city has been successful offering outstanding aquatics programs for the community for decades. In 2020, when pools closed due to the pandemic, we lost all 600 employees that we had from previous years. And like other programs across the country, we have been working hard to rebound from that loss. Each summer, we have made progress in opening additional swim locations. This year, the city is employing more than 400 lifeguards, of which 246 are certified swim instructors, 26 assistant pool managers, 17 pool managers, and 48 cashiers. And we were able to increase the total number of city pools opening this year to 20, up from 18 last year. Preparation for the 2025 aquatic season began in March 2024 with enhanced lifeguard training for assistant managers and pool managers and ongoing lifeguard certification courses. While the department has seen positive results from recruitment efforts, we continue to have staffing challenges, which limits the number of pools that we can open. And this is why we have focused on building the aquatics talent pipeline. We are continuing the hands-on accelerated assistant manager training program, and new this year, the department is introducing a head lifeguard program to provide leadership development opportunities for 2nd and 3rd year employees. The program is designed to prepare staff for future promotion into the assistant pool manager role. Finally, the department will also continue to utilize the shallow water lifeguard position. This program allows individuals interested in lifeguarding but whose swimming skills do not yet meet the requirements for deep water certification to qualify in pools with a maximum depth of 4 feet. This offers those individuals the opportunity to develop their skills while gaining valuable experience and training. Aquatics continues to utilize a variety of methods to promote job opportunities for positions including cashier, lifeguard, swim lesson instructor, assistant pool manager, and pool manager. Methods include visiting high schools, physical education classes, career fairs, swim and dive teams, as well as other sporting events. Staff also distribute information to colleges through job fairs, participation at community events, and through social media. Finally, the department engaged our 2024 aquatics employees in several off-season events, including Falloween, Trunk or Treat, the APS Electric Light Parade, as well as the Polar Plunge. These opportunities build enthusiasm for the job while promoting aquatics programming and employment opportunities. And as a result of these retention efforts, 65% of aquatic staff from last summer are returning for the 2025 season. Council members, with your support, the department has been able to make aquatics positions' wages more competitive with the lifeguard market and also with other jobs that attract teens. In addition to the higher wages and with your support, we have been able also to offer hiring and retention incentives ranging from $1,000 to $3,000 depending on position. These incentives have been effective in attracting both returning staff as well as new candidates. This year, the incentive was changed to encourage promotion within the aquatic structure, with pool management receiving the highest incentive, as that is currently where staffing is needed the most. 2025 pools were selected based on geographic location, amenities, and pool attendance to ensure communities across the city have access to a public pool. This year, 16 pools will be open all summer, and an additional 4 pools will be open either for the month of June or July to provide as many neighborhoods with access to swimming pools as possible. Thanks to a partnership with Ability 360, Telephone Pioneer Pool will be open this summer for the first time since 2020. Ability 360 will operate the pool for members from June through August, bringing the total pools open this season to 20. The adaptive pool programming provided by Ability 360 is transformational, and I'm so excited for this new option this summer. In addition, several of our community centers offer a van-to-pool option where interested youth are transported via van to a nearby city pool. For example, youth attending summer programs at Grant, University, and Hermoso Community Centers are transported via van to Harmon and Canto and Roosevelt pools, respectively. Now, I'm pleased to introduce Aquatic Supervisor Becky Kirk, who for the past 21 years has provided leadership to the city's aquatics program. She brings 34 years of experience in the industry and began her career right here with the City of Phoenix, training and managing lifeguards. We're lucky to have her on our team, and she will share some information about 2025 aquatics programming.
Thank you, Brandy. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. The 2025 pool season will run Memorial Day through the end of July, with select pools being open weekends through Labor Day, weekends in August through Labor Day. Pools are open from 12 to 6 p.m. daily and closed on Fridays. This year, during the 4th of July week, Independence Week, we will be closed on Thursday for maintenance purposes and open on the holiday Friday for the public. We are proud to partner with several different entities. Our partnerships play a key role in keeping City of Phoenix aquatic programs affordable and accessible. The Milwaukee Brewers, the Salt River Project, and Salt River Project have both been longstanding partners supporting the Cool Kids program for decades, this year with over $70,000 in combined donations. Through their sponsorship, kids 17 years and younger will swim for free at 16 of our city pools. The Diamondbacks have also sponsored discounted swimming lessons at pools across the city for more than a decade. This year, thanks to a partnership with the Diamondbacks, Presidential Pools matched their donation and will double the access to discounted swimming lessons. We would like to thank the Brewers, Salt River Project, the Diamondbacks, and Presidential Pools for their support for the City of Phoenix aquatic programs. Swimming lessons are a vital layer of protection to decrease drownings. This summer, over 12,700 people will have an opportunity to learn to swim at 19 of our City of Phoenix locations. These affordable swim lessons are offered to all ages. Participants can be 6 months of age to adult. Swimming lessons are $15 for a 2-week session, which equates to $1.88 per day. For the discounted lessons of $3, we will be offering about 1,600 of those spots, and those are only 38 cents per day. We offer the best value in town by far. New this year, we were able to offer swimming lessons in August at 6 sites. These are geared towards the age of 3 to 5 years old, typically non-swimmers, with the goal of setting self-rescue by the end of August to help curb the drowning rate. Registrations for programs that begin in June has already started. It began on April 24th. Registration for programs beginning in July and August will begin on June 14th. Registration will be ongoing throughout the summer as space is available. Last year, we were able to bring back swim team and will offer swim team again this summer. Swim team sites are determined based on geographic location and previous demand. Summer Swim Team is a 5-week program, and it's offered to youth 7 to 7 years old. Each participant will be tested with prerequisite skills prior to participating. Aquafit will also be offered at select locations this year for those that are 13 years and older. This is a low-impact aquatic fitness workout geared for adults. In addition to the pools and aquatic programming, Parks and Recreation will offer 11 splash pads throughout the city. Splash pads will open on Saturday, May 24th and operate through October 1st and are another great way to beat the heat in the City of Phoenix. We look forward to seeing the community at our pools on May 24th. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, this concludes our presentation.
I was kind of waiting to see if you had any follow-up comments, Cynthia. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. We do not, and we are obviously available for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Parks. Thank you, staff, for that great presentation. It's always exciting to hear what's going on in our parks, especially as we head into the summer season. I just have a couple of questions. Is registration still open? I'm a parent. I just heard about this wonderful idea, the summer camps. I just heard about it. I know I've heard you. I didn't know you had like drop-in service. Is it still available to someone like myself?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, and Councilwoman Hodge Washington, yes. So while we do have some sites that are very popular that could be full for now, that is the exception. So most of our centers still have space.
And is there a registration deadline if a parent is interested?
Great question, Councilwoman Hodge Washington. So registration will continue to be open throughout the summer as long as space is available. So even if come July, someone needs a single day or a whole week or that month, if there is space, they can register still.
Okay. And what do we anticipate to be the capacity of children that we're able to serve or youth that we're able to serve during the summer camp programs?
Sure, Councilwoman Hodge Washington and Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, each site has a different capacity based on its size. So some of our larger centers can take over 100 children. Some of our smaller centers might be anywhere from 30 to 50 kids in that range.
Okay. And I was asking more so for a total overall impact that we anticipate. That was kind of my question. If it's too broad, I understand.
Understood. Sorry about that. And you know what, I'm going to ask Danielle if we know about how many campers we generally have.
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, last year we had just under 2,400 youth that participated in our camps throughout the entire system of Phoenix Place sites.
I was going to ask you what are the 2 field trip ideas, but I don't want to spoil it for the students.
So yeah.
You don't have to answer it. Don't spoil it. Don't give away the secrets. You got to leave something for the marketing. I also wanted to ask and encourage, I know Eastlake Pool has been closed for some time, and based on the presentation, they anticipate opening in the fall. Eastlake has a heated pool, and I just wanted to encourage us to consider the possibility of maybe a winter season for, given that it's heated, a winter season for those in the community to continue developing their aquatic and swim skill sets. Also, and I think it would be a good way, when you're talking about, I'm always building a case here, so you were talking about the off-season engagement. I think this might be one way to engage those that are possibly, would be finishing off their season as well. So I have a question regarding the 4 pools that are only going to be open 1 month out of the summer. I just think it might be helpful for you to share how the decision was made as to which pools would be not fully accessible during the summer.
Sure, Councilwoman Hodge Washington and members of the subcommittee, there are a few different criteria that we look at when we take that into consideration. One is its geographic location, and if there are other pools nearby that would be open to serve the community. Another would be attendance and amenities at those pools. And then another criteria we use is council district. Every city council district has a different number of pools within each council district, and we want to make sure that each council district also has an option for their community.
Thank you so much for that. And similarly, I presume that's the same factors that are used to determine which pools are open on weekend only. So I'll go.
Yes, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, it's similar, and actually in that scenario, in the new scenario where we are offering swim lessons in August on weekends, we are actually using slightly different criteria for that. There are some pools that are just smaller by nature, and when you have less water space or a different design, you can't accommodate as many swim lessons as maybe a larger pool. So some of those pools are actually picked because they offer less swim lessons throughout the year for that reason. We want to make sure that we can offer equitably and offer more lessons in those pools.
Thank you for that. And then my last question was the splash pads. I just wanted to understand for those that are just getting new splash pads to their areas, help them understand what is the accessibility for those and the openness, like what time frame and any other factors they need to know about the new splash pads.
Sure, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee. So splash pads are open the same as park hours generally, and they open Memorial Day weekend. They do have a slightly longer season than the pool, so they close on October 1st so that the community can enjoy that a little longer beyond the pool season itself.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. I want to say thank you again to everyone in attendance here, as well as our staff and our partners who help to make these summer programs so possible for our families. They provide, as we know, a safe space. They're cost-effective. They're close to home. They help our youth learn to volunteer and future job skills. And I just want to say thank you for all of that. This is a type of work that really, I believe, builds stronger communities. So thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone.
I want to follow up on you were talking about the winter program. I think that's a great idea because I know a lot of the high schools use the pools to train. For example, Sunny Soap. And when the pools were closed, they were desperate because they still wanted to train. So I think that's a great suggestion.
Eastlake.
Any comments? Anyone? You have comments? Okay. Councilwoman Pastor?
Hi, thank you for your great presentation. I always feel that the City of Phoenix offers some of the great programming that is needed within our community. One of the questions is, what's the maximum capacity that we could have our summer camps at?
Madam Chair and Councilwoman Pastor, we have 4 large community centers that are with the most size that can accommodate up to 150 participants each day.
So we have 26 locations. So you're telling me, I'm going to do the math.
And I can clarify too, or expand on Danielle's answer, Councilwoman Pastor, members of the subcommittee. Danielle provided an example of the maximum capacity at our large centers. Capacities are all different at the different centers based on the size. So we have some that are much smaller, some that are medium size.
Yeah, I want to know the capacity that we could possibly have in each one of our programs, large, medium, and small.
Sure.
And the reason why I'm asking this question and directing this question is because I think if we can do or get to the space of where we can get to that level, then we're maximizing our resources and we're maximizing participation within our community, because I know some kids, as a teacher, are idling at home and not aware, or be able to create a way to sponsor those kids so that they are active and they're learning. And that's where I'm going with this summer camps, because I know we're not at that capacity. If I heard correctly, I think it was 2,600 that participate. I think we have that just by one of your facilities.
Yes, Councilwoman Pastor, that was correct.
Just by one of your facilities, and you have 4 large facilities, that's a capacity of 600. So I think we have the ability to move to a level where people want to come to Phoenix. And I'm competitive. So I'm competitive in the sense of we're better than Glendale, we're better than in price-wise, and Peoria. So we should be able to capture some of those students, or I say students, children, because I believe probably a lot of their family work in Phoenix. So that's where I'm going with this thought process. It's more of a future of how do we get to that space and capacity of using our parks or our facilities. And it'll be fun because then you can hire more people. That's how I look at it. We have more people in the workforce. The other piece is I do know about your summer camps. I have several friends that participated and get comments. I also have a family that have participated in it. So I do know the quality of service that is given. I'm going to go to aquatics. One of the things that I took advantage of as a mother, I wasn't a young mother, but as a mother, was the swim lessons. And I will validate every day the quality of swim lessons that are done. I started not at the public school, public entity, but I started swim lessons at 6 months for my kids, and then continued on until they were pretty strong, which was 7th or 8th grade. And I bounced around to many different parks because the way the swim lessons go is you will get full fast in the most popular parks, and in the other parks, there's availability. So I bounced around all over the city and felt the quality of education in swim lessons and how they were done. And both my kids are really good swimmers. One, I hope she would become a lifeguard. She has the ability, but I'm working on that. My incentive is you'll make more money. But I just want to say that. The other piece is I'd like to thank our partners for doing this for us and providing this for our community. But the last one is really the parks that are still not open. And what is it going to take for us to open the 4 parks next year? Because one year I heard we don't have enough managers, we don't have enough lifeguards. So we went into an effort for that, and we chipped away at that. Then last year it was, oh, we're renovating some pools, We're now there, and so I want to be able to open up all the pools.
Yes, Councilwoman Pastor, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, our focus is still hiring really at all levels, needing to hire additional aquatic staff at all of those levels, but the focus has really become where we are short the most are assistant pool managers and pool managers. We cannot open additional pools without having sufficient number of managers and assistant managers to oversee the lifeguards at those facilities. And for that reason, we've added some new training efforts, really targeting that. We changed the incentive model to incentivize those positions with greater incentives. So we're very aware of that, and we are working very hard to try to accomplish that.
So I'm going to lead to my last statement. Then East Lake Park, because we have talked about this in the past about lifeguards in the middle of winter, mainly fall. Spring they pick up, but mainly fall they kind of idle. So I highly encourage that East Lake Park become the park that is open year-round since it is heated. I do understand, I will hear the pushback, oh, well, it costs this much and it costs that much, but somehow, some way we have the ability of doing things. And I would highly recommend that that's where we utilize and training lifeguards and utilize and training managers. The other piece is there are facilities that have closed that there are teams looking for pools. And East Lake Park is one of those pools that probably could be used to train. We don't have any inner city pools because the one on 24th Street and I want to say Highland, where we had the complex over there, has closed. I think it was Brophy's. And we don't have anything within our inner city. And if we could look at that and be able then to possibly rent the pool during the winter for that season, it at least generates some money or generates us breaking even for us to use it for our lifeguards. So I want to thank you for every year evolving in the sense of trying to make it better, and every year bringing and presenting new programming, incentives, and also ways of attracting people. I think this is just another way to attract. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I want to thank you for your presentation as well. Of course, my kids are adults, but they took advantage of all the programs in the summer when they were young. And so I hope you continue to take our comments into consideration. Certainly, we'll probably have another bond election, and that might be a way to help the winter program. So thank you. Now we're going to move on to item 10. which is the 2024 Phoenix Building Construction Code adoption.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Joshua Bednar, Planning and Development Director, is here to present on this item along with his team, which he'll introduce.
Thank you. And before you say anything, Josh, I personally want to thank you guys. I know I was doing some 11th hour question thoughts with you guys, and I really think you guys stepped up to the plate. I really do appreciate that. So with that, take it away.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. With me this morning are Assistant Director Jason Blakely and Acting Building Official JJ Proska. For the past year, Jason and JJ have led an interdisciplinary staff team charged with administering the update of our building code. I want to thank Jason and JJ for their leadership with this effort, and also thank the PDD team, the Development Advisory Board, all of our stakeholders, and our technical and industry partners for their incredible work. I'll turn to Jason and JJ now for our presentation.
Thank you, Josh. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, we are happy to present our proposal for the adoption of the 2024 Phoenix Building Construction Code. The Phoenix Building Construction Code sets forth the minimum health and life safety requirements for construction within the city of Phoenix. The city last updated the building code in 2018. It is important to periodically adopt new codes to take advantage of enhanced safety provisions, new technologies, and materials. It also helps us maintain our leadership role in the region and assists with the city's Insurance Services Office's rating. The proposed codes consist of publications from the International Code Council, International Association of Plumbing Officials, National Fire Protection Agency, and the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, along with staff and public amendments. The code set forth requirements for architecture, structural design, mechanical, plumbing, electrical systems, energy conservation, swimming pool and spa safety, elevators, and optional green construction provisions. We refer to this group of codes as the 2024 Phoenix Building Construction Code, as most of these codes were published in 2024. We began planning for the adoption over 18 months ago, but the primary work started in the summer of 2024, when city staff reviewed the new codes, compared them to our existing codes, and drafted amendment proposals for consideration by the Development Advisory Board. In the fall of 2024, we started our public outreach efforts with direct emails to over 600 stakeholders, development of a dedicated webpage announcing the review and possible adoption of the new code, while giving the public an opportunity to provide input and submit amendment proposals. We also work with the Communications Office to develop a social media campaign announcing the new code review and soliciting feedback from the public. The Development Advisory Board Building Code Subcommittee began holding meetings in February of 2025 to review staff and public amendment proposals. The subcommittee was made up of members of the Development Advisory Board and industry professionals. Meetings lasted through the end of March with recommendation of approval to the Development Advisory Board. In April of 2025, the Development Advisory Board unanimously recommended approval. I will now hand it over to John Joseph Proska, who will go over some significant amendments and base code changes.
Thank you, Jason. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I'll go over some highlights of what's coming in the 2024 Phoenix Building Construction Code. One of the amendments that we are looking at is electric vehicle charging infrastructure for 1- and 2-family dwellings and townhomes. This has to do with requiring a conduit path for future wiring and a box for future installation of a electric vehicle charging actual piece of equipment. This is following the Transportation Electrification Action Plan passed by the City Council. Additionally, there is provisions for water efficient fixtures. This is an update to meet the EPA WaterSense standards for faucets, urinals, and toilets. This is also following another City Council resolution. One of the national base code changes has to do with mass timber, a relatively exciting new type of technology using very large wood members that performs much better in fire conditions than smaller wood members. This had a lot of national testing and a lot of national vetting before it came to us. You'll see that if this ends up getting used, the smaller buildings will have more of that wood exposed, and the larger buildings you probably won't even know. Additionally, we are going to be eliminating permits for shipping containers that are just used for storage purposes, as well as replacements of fences and walls in the same spot with the same material. This is usually the backyard fences that you're aware of with single-family dwellings. Additionally, we'll be eliminating code modifications for water and sewer crossing private property lines. This is mostly just a streamlining change. Additionally, we'll be easing the installation requirements for refrigerant lines in multifamily development. This is going to be following a future national code change, but it's important to get it here so that we don't have to deal with this extra cost to multifamily development. Also, there's going to be new fire separation requirements between some dwelling units where state law is now disallowed requiring fire sprinklers. Buildings with occupiable roofs will now be safer for evacuation through the building when a fire truck ladder is unable to reach that occupiable roof in a fire situation. Additionally, there's a elevator safety for repair personnel provision that has attracted a lot of attention, as you are aware. I hope that if we do end up discussing that today, we can take a look at the actual wording, which is a relatively minor change, but is important. Additionally, the Inclusive Home Design Amendment follows the City of Tucson and Pima County ordinances that you will see in a memo about. Those ordinances have been in place since 2007 and 2003, respectively. This will have standards for no-step single entrances, interior circulation path widths, including 36 inches wide in most circulation paths, 32 inches wide for doors. Operable parts will have heights that are able to be reached by those with disabilities. Toilet rooms and bathrooms will have hidden wall installation parts just to make future installation of grab bars easier. And there will be minimum clear floor space in one restroom on the first floor. This was not included in the recommendation from the Development Advisory Board, as it has been tweaked following some subcommittee comments. This was put forth by the Strategic Work Group on Accessibility and some modifications by staff. There are exceptions for site and cost conditions, limited habitable space on the ground floor, as well as standard plans and their timeline of compliance. Jason, back to you.
Thank you, JJ. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. We are scheduled to go to City Council on June 18th with a proposed effective date of August 1st. As in previous code adoptions, we will allow a grace period for standard plans. These are plans that are typically associated with residential subdivision development. This provides flexibility to the home builders in updating their plans and gives staff some relief as submittal and review of the updated plans is spread out over several months. We will also provide flexibility to projects that have currently started the development process. For example, if a project has been through a pre-application meeting or obtained preliminary site plan approval, they will have the option to submit building plans under the 2018 Phoenix Building Construction Code. Staff respectfully requests the Transportation, Infrastructure, and Planning Subcommittee recommend approval of the 2024 Phoenix Building Construction Code. And with that, we thank you for your consideration and are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Actually, we have a number of speakers, so why don't we take the speakers first? And they're actually here for two specific issues, so why don't we start with the inclusive housing and James Ashley from the Home Builders. I understand you're okay with the rest of the building code, right?
For the most part. Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is James Ashley with the Home Builders Association of Central Arizona and a registered lobbyist in the city of Phoenix. Wanted to start by recognizing the Phoenix process for building code adoption and updates. It is a very open and detailed process, very multi-layered, and in every layer and step there are opportunities for stakeholder engagement. Also want to acknowledge city staff and the responsiveness throughout this process and the collaboration on a couple of amendments that have been incorporated previously into the draft. Regarding the separate accessibility amendment on today's agenda, we're respectfully opposed with a variety of concerns that we've communicated throughout the process and to Chairwoman Stark. This is a consumer choice matter. There are significant floor plans being built today in the city of Phoenix that are very popular and diverse floor plans that are approved and being built that would not be permitted under this mandate. However, should the city move forward with another modified version of this amendment, Phoenix's amendment should exempt existing approved standard plans as of the effective date. This would allow builders to retain existing floor plans while still updating to other aspects of the new code. Consistent with other Valley cities, we understand that Phoenix is planning to provide 1 year from the effective date for builders to update existing standard plans. However, unlike a typical code update, this specific amendment will render many existing floor plans obsolete. It'll leave us in a situation where our model homes don't match the homes that are being constructed throughout Phoenix. And we do understand in the draft release this morning, there is language to accommodate that effect, and that's something we're going to look forward to reviewing. With the need to update existing standard plans to comply with the new code, excluding this amendment will grandfather in existing already approved standard plans and ensure continuity between the models and what's being built in Phoenix today for Phoenix's new homeowners. The updates to this amendment, they continue to need review, work, and discussion, and we greatly look forward to those conversations with you, Madam Chair, and with staff as well.
Thank you, and you still have some time to discuss prior to getting to council, so thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Daryl Christensen. There he is.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. I'm Daryl Christensen. I have been working with the Strategic Work Group and a retired advocate for people with disabilities. I strongly support the Inclusive Home Design Amendment as being presented. Right now, fewer than 5% of housing is accessible, and for those that are affordable, those numbers are even lower. This really impacts, it's a low cost for high impact. So it's not just for folks with disabilities, of which right now we have 1 in 5 people with disabilities, and soon with the baby boomers like myself, 1 in 4 individuals with a disability will be affected. Also, temporary disabilities and families with young kids and strollers will also be beneficial for this change. It's interesting to note that right now, Americans move every 7 years, and so housing that's built today in 2025 will be out there until 2095. Simple math says that a 70-year-old home will have, and moving every 7 years, you're going to have 10 families in and out of that unit, and I can guarantee you that more than one of those families will benefit from these features. It also will prevent some folks from having to move into nursing homes and institutions, which right now saves about $70,000 per person per year. So as was mentioned, the city of Tucson and Pima County passed this in 2003 and 2007, and it really is up to elected officials that have the responsibility to ensure that our housing meet the future needs. And so this amendment will really provide accessibility and inclusion for everybody for the future. The time has come, and I strongly support the amendments for inclusive home design. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, Dana Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the City Council. My name is Dana Marie Kennedy, and I'm the State Director for AARP Arizona. We're a nonpartisan, mission-driven organization representing 38 million members across the country, 900,000 in the state and 100,000 in the city of Phoenix. And I'm here today to speak in strong support of incorporating universal design principles into new housing developments into our city. We know that there's a severe shortage of housing, especially affordable housing in Arizona, especially in Phoenix. Housing should meet the needs of all individuals, regardless of age, disability, and ability level. Accessible housing, which accommodates people of all ages and ability levels, is crucial to most Phoenicians who say they would like to remain in their homes as they age. Right now, too much of our housing stock is built with narrow doorways, steps at every entrance, and bathrooms that are difficult or even dangerous for some residents to use. That forces people out of their homes when their needs change, or worse, it excludes them from moving in at all. Designing homes with features like step-free entries, wider doorways, lever handles, and accessible bathrooms doesn't just benefit a few, it benefits most people, inclusive communities. And it doesn't have to be expensive. When universal design is included from the start, the cost is minimal compared to the cost of retrofitting or institutional care. The amendment would make basic accessibility features such as I urge you to prioritize housing that is livable for everyone, not just today, but in the decades to come. Let's lead the way in building a city where people of all ages and all abilities can live with dignity and independence. Thank you for your time and your leadership.
Thank you. The next speaker, Dora Vasquez. She's online, I believe. Is she, Dora?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Dora Vasquez, Executive Director of the Arizona Alliance for Retired Americans. We represent over 50,000 labor union and community members, retirees across the state, with 27,000 of those here in Maricopa County. I am a constituent of District 4, and I'm a person who would benefit personally from this ordinance. The inclusive home design amendment we strongly support. People over the age of 60 are the fastest growing population, and that population will double in the next 20 years. And for people over 80, that population will triple in the next 20 years. We deserve the accessibility after a lifetime of work. All of us deserve accessibility and to know that as we age, that we'll be able to make those changes by adding the bars in our bathrooms and hardware. We also know that for me personally, I never thought when I was 50 that I would be someone who could not climb steps. Now that I'm 70, I've had an injury that prevents me from climbing steps, and it makes it very hard for me to get in many places. So I can see how this will benefit people who never thought they were going to need this. And so
did we lose her? We lose her?
yes, I went, somehow I got muted. So I was just going to end with saying, thank you so much. We strongly support this measure. One of the things I learned when I was much younger, if aging isn't your issue, it will be. And so for folks who are just naturally aging, things like the door hardware, making it easy to grasp, this is just ideal. And I really applaud staff for their work on making this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to the 70s Club. The next speaker, I'm in that club. And next speaker is Nicole Anderson. She on? Okay. Nicole?
Yes, hello. Good morning, Madam Chair and Council Member Hodge Washington and Pastor, members of the subcommittee. My name is Nicole Anderson, and I'm a lifelong Phoenix resident and proud community member. I've also had the privilege of serving as chair of the City of Phoenix Mayor's Commission on Disability Issues for the past several years. I'm here today to voice my strong support of the approval of the Building Construction Code and the revised Inclusive Home Design Amendment that was developed by the Strategic Work Group on Accessibility, of which I'm also a member. In 2016, my husband and I were building a new home here in Phoenix. We also received at that same time news that changed our lives. Our 15-month-old daughter was diagnosed with a rare condition, Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, and doctors at PCH told us that she would likely never walk. In the midst of our grief, we acted. I immediately reached out to our home builder superintendent and requested accessible modification, meaning wider doorways and a zero threshold entrance so that her wheelchair could get through our own front door of our home. While it was a complicated and frustrating process, the home builder and the superintendent was proud to do it. And I know I'm not alone in this fight to make sure that accessible and universal design is incorporated. I respectfully disagree with the opinion that inclusive home design is merely a matter of consumer choice. Accessibility is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Making homes visitable and livable for people with all abilities is a matter of equity, dignity, and basic human rights. Popular floor plans should not take precedence over the fundamental need for safe, accessible housing. And in fact, truly good design is adaptable and inclusive by nature. I am looking forward to the City of Phoenix adopting these amendments and making sure that we don't just retrofit later, but instead we build for universal design and for all to feel welcome to the City of Phoenix, my home. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is also virtual, Matt Johnson. Matt?
Hi, sorry. I was trying to figure out how to unmute myself and it automatically did it. I just wanted to speak on behalf of, first let me introduce myself. I'm Matt Johnson. I am the business manager for the International Union of Elevator Constructors, Local 140, here in Arizona. And I represent the majority of the elevator mechanics and apprentices in the state of Arizona, many of whom work on elevators in the city of Phoenix. I just wanted to show my support for the safety amendments that were listed under A17.1, and just really it provides it improves the safety of the members I represent that work on the elevators. It's an added safety feature that's already into the code. There's a minimal language change in the amendment that's proposed, and all of my members and myself are in full support of it. I just wanted to thank you for your time, Madam Chair and Councilwomen, and thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Our next speaker is also virtual, Billy Taylor. Is Billy?
Good morning. Hi, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Billy Taylor. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the National Elevator Industry, or NEI. We're the trade association that represents the major manufacturers of elevators and escalators in North America. Our member companies account for about 95% of all new installations. In short, I'm here to comment on one specific proposal to modify ASME A17.1 elevator safety code in Phoenix. But first, I'd like to note that one of the core functions of our association is our Central Code Committee, which is made up of the engineering teams for each member company, and they monitor, review, and provide feedback to jurisdictions across the country, as well as to participate in the ASME code development process itself. And I can tell you that our code committee is confused and disappointed that they were not, as the industry representative, consulted or invited to provide comment early in the Phoenix code development process. And to confirm, NEI does not take issue with any section of the proposed 2024 Phoenix Building Construction Code, except for the proposal to amend ASME A17.1 Section 2.7.5.1.1, which conditions the requirement for the use of a mechanical car locking device. To be clear, no jurisdiction in North America has adopted a modification to this section. No city, big or small, has made such a deviation to the ASME code, which is developed through a rigorous consensus process with hundreds of industry experts. Phoenix would stand alone, and we believe this change could create unintended consequences by creating a false sense of security and misuse of the system. In conclusion, I understand that you have a copy of recommended language, which NEI supports, but if that language is not found satisfactory, we urge the board to remand this single issue of lock and block back to staff for further discussion. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next, Jesse. I'm going to butcher your name, Jesse.
I'll say it for you. Atencio.
I want you to know the O looks like an S.
Does
and
it
that
really?
Confused me. Yeah.
Oh, I apologize for that, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, my name is Jesse Atencio. I'm actually the general manager for Premier Risk Management. We're a consulting firm that ranges from inspections of locations to opining on different subject matter that comes up through the state, including court cases. I'm here on a reason because my prior role, I worked as the ADOS director, which is state OSHA, at the Industrial Commission of Arizona. I was there for 18 years. About 6 years, I represented as the director. I oversaw our elevator and boiler inspectors. Well, everybody knows the City of Phoenix does have the opportunity to manage those inspections for the City of Phoenix, but in the sense, though, the state also, too, has to adopt code as it goes along. This code came to me, or this revision that was being talked about today, came to me back in 2022 on the same thing about a blocking mechanism and bar. There was a demonstration by Schindler to show that it supported and there was no unintended movement of the car. it not only satisfied the code, but also satisfied the actual OSHA standards, which is 1910-147, which that is employee safety right to the bare bones of what is required for all employees. So at this point, I'm only in opposition of 2.7.5.11 and the amendment that's there. And I wish that the commission and also the Madam Chair and also subcommittee members will remand this back for further discussion and opportunity to discuss the matter further.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Lawrence Taylor.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Madam members. My name is Lawrence Taylor. I'm the Codes and Standards Officer for North America for Schindler Elevator Corporation. And there are 3 proposed amendments to the A17-1-2022 code, and I fully support 2 of those and have no objection whatsoever. But as we've heard already, 2.7.5.1.1 is a solution in search of a problem that does not exist. And I take issue with this previous statements that it makes things safer, because it makes the potential for human intervention, which is what this device requires, to be misused and abused. And I believe it reduces safety versus the technological advances that allow you to fix it where there is no possibility of unexpected vertical car movement. The 27511, there are thousands of in fact, Schindler alone has installed over 125,000 of these worldwide, including 45,000 of them in North America, with a 0 OSHA incident rate and not one single report of any unexpected vertical movement anywhere at any time. So we would urge you to remand just 27511, support the other 2 changes that they want to do, and remand that, and I'll try to allow the industry, which has not been given ample acknowledgement that they were even taking these courses, allow us to work with them. I believe the intention was always good, but the results could be very disappointing, and I thank you for allowing me to speak with you today.
Thank you. Last speaker, Francis Haynes.
Madam Chairwoman and members of the subcommittee, and also the Councilwoman Pastor and Ms. Hodge Washington. I'm Frances Haynes. I'm an attorney with Womble Bond Dickinson, formerly Lewis Roca, a name you may be familiar with. We've been around a long time. And I'm here in my capacity of representing Schindler, and I just recently registered as a lobbyist. Schindler's been around for 150 years, and it is an organization people are familiar with. There are a number of Schindler elevators in the City of Phoenix buildings, and there's many of them around the City of Phoenix generally. But more importantly, they have elevators around the world. And there has never, ever been an incidence of unexpected vertical movement using the intelligent design that Schindler created some almost 2 decades ago. Unfortunately, the proposed change to 2.7.5.1.1 would require Schindler to redesign its elevators because they would most arguably be barred. So unfortunately, this would mean that the elevators that Schindler installs, uses, maintains, involving intelligent design would not be able to be used if this amendment were to go forward. There's been a lot of discussion most recently about this, but unfortunately at the beginning of this process, no one reached out to Schindler or other similarly situated elevator companies who have similar technology. And because of the severe ramifications, if this were to be passed, we respectfully request that it be remanded for further discussion. And we believe and hope that we can reach an agreement regarding language. We've suggested some language this morning at your request.
Thank you. I think that's all the comments we have. Before I turn to the council members, I personally very vested in this. I was the former planning director, and I went through this process many a time. And I must say, JJ and Jason, you've done a great job. I worked with Jason. You've been in the department for 30 years. You know it inside out. So thank you so much. I'm also a senior citizen, affectionately called that, but I want to age in place. I want to live in my house for as long as I can. And so I'm pretty passionate about this. And I think we really did strike a good compromise, in my humble opinion, between the home builders and our subcommittee that's been working on these issues. So I am very supportive of this. I think we do have a good process at the City of Phoenix. We do reach out. We work with the industry. We always have, and we always will. I appreciate your comments, James. You know, I've worked with the home builders for 40 years, and sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't agree, but I do appreciate your comments. But in this case, I support what we're doing because it is really personal to me. So with that, are there any questions or comments? If you have. Okay. Do you want to go first?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Chair. I want to also echo the comments of the chair. Thank you for the presentation. I have a couple of questions that I think might be helpful for those in attendance to go through. So I will start off with, it seems like the two areas of contention today center around the inclusive housing and then the elevator. So I'm going to separate them for purposes of my question. Starting off with the inclusive housing recommendation, we were provided with an amendment that addresses what we consider grandfather in the plans that already been approved. Can we speak a little bit more to that to make sure that it's clear what the expectations are regarding that?
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Councilwoman Hodge-Washington, we did have correspondence with the Home Builders Association of Central Arizona regarding some of the exceptions. One of them that we added to hopefully satisfy Mr. Ashley's comment was that standard plans approved for use in a residential subdivision that received preliminary site plan approval prior to the adoption of the 2024 Phoenix Building Construction Code would be exempt from these requirements. So any subdivisions that they have going currently would be exempt, and if they've received preliminary site plan approval prior to August 1st, for subdivisions that they're in the preparation of planning for, those would be exempt as well. But any new subdivisions past that point would require the standard plans to comply.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that I did have the language. I thought it was helpful to identify the kind of the date that we're talking about here. So these revisions, if move forward from not just the subcommittee through City Council, ultimately there will be I don't call it a grace period, but there will be a moment in time when we can determine after this date the plans that have not been approved will then be required to comply with the additional requirements of the inclusive housing, correct? I see a lot of nodding heads, so I think I'm correct.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, correct, yes.
Okay, thank you for that. I want to pivot over to, well, let me ask this question. Can we talk a little bit about the process in which these amendments or these code revisions came to be? Can we go through the steps as to the level of community outreach, engagement, kind of the time process, and just so we can have that? Because I've heard some commentary about whether or not, what was the level of community outreach that was done to get us here?
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Councilwoman Hodge-Washington, as I highlighted in the presentation, we started our outreach in the fall of 2024 with direct emails to over 600 stakeholders. We announced the review and amendment process on our website, launched a new website, and then we also worked with our communications office to develop a social media campaign so we could try to hit as many different avenues as we could. Speaking to some of the comments from the public, it would be nearly impossible to reach every organization or person that would have interest in this. That's why we put out a broad spectrum of social media or public outreach opportunities.
Okay. And I think we've had a briefing on this that had some explanation given to me. So I'm going to ask you some of those questions to kind of get those on the record as well. Can we talk a little bit about what the specific language? Can you identify the concern the ambiguity that you're trying to address in this situation regarding ASME 27511?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee. Yes, the key change here is the striking out of the words maintenance or inspection. And that is the replacement of any work is performed. That is the primary change that's being taken place here, because the interpretation of what makes something maintenance or inspection appears to be not uniformly understood, appears to be a little unclear. And so when there's a difference of opinion as to what the code is intending, we're trying to make the change much more crystal clear to encompass any work that's taking place from the top of that elevator car.
Okay. And is there something that prompted the need for this clarification?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, yes, we are aware of legal action taken in 2 states with respect to the interpretation of maintenance or inspections, tied with the unexpected vertical car movement. And we would like to clarify our code so that the interpretation is not taken through multiple levels of court decisions when it doesn't need to be.
Okay. Thank you. And can you tell me what the intended goal is for the language? My interpretation of the intended goal of the language is that in any instance, no, let me let you speak. Sorry, I'll let you tell me what your intended goal is.
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee. Yes, the intended goal is primarily just to clarify, to stop that interpretation fight about maintenance or inspections, and to clarify that things like repairs or troubleshooting, going up on top of that elevator car, if you're not necessarily doing just a visual inspection, maybe you're opening the components up and sticking your hand in, or putting your head around the corner to see if the bolt's loose, whatever it happens to be, that is intended to be covered by the type of work that this means is intended to help provide a level of safety for the person working on top of the elevator car.
Okay. And your earlier answer referred to other litigation, other questions of what this language means. Is it fair to presume that other jurisdictions have modified their language or have had some level of inconsistency with the language as stated in the ASME?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, yes. The other jurisdictions that have had legal action have interpreted this to include items like troubleshooting and repair. And that has led to the disagreements about interpretation of those words, maintenance or inspections. As well as I know that there is a policy in Oregon describing the interpretation of those words, but I'm not aware of any code amendments that directly change this language in order to deal with this interpretation disagreement. I do know that New York City has approached the problem in a different way by simply requiring that you can have a means to repair or access these components from outside of the elevator hoistway.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I still have a couple more. Let me just get back to it. This issue that we are hearing before the TIP subcommittee at this juncture, going back to my first question regarding whether or not, like, the stakeholder process, the development of the current code amendments, was this issue raised at the, what is it called? The first, DAB, yes, at the DAB. And can you share a little bit about that first?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, yes, the opposition to this amendment was raised during the Development Advisory Board subcommittee stage, where most of the technical matters are looked at, and members of the public were there to speak in both support and opposition, as they have been today. So this conversation has been ongoing since then.
Is it, so the DAP, not the DAP, the DAP board, the DAB have the opportunity to hear these arguments, and they still approve the recommendations as presented to us currently?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, yes, the Development Advisory Board subcommittee received letters in support and opposition, as well as testimony during the subcommittee meeting, and they voted unanimously to approve this amendment, as well as during the full Development Advisory Board meeting, members of the public spoke in opposition, and the members of the Development Advisory Board also unanimously approved this amendment's inclusion.
Okay. I'm going to jump around a little bit. There was I've heard some concerns about the state elevator inspector and whether or not they were looped into this conversation and whether or not they had any feedback. Is there anything you can share regarding that question for me?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, we have given our proposed amendments to the elevator codes to the state. We did that on February 26th. We have not heard back anything from them officially. I believe that some conversations have taken place with the state elevator personnel, but I do not think that they have expressed an official position.
Okay. Going back to the proposed language, from your perspective or what I'm hearing so far, and you can correct me if I'm incorrect, this is really a mechanism to ensure, I'm sorry, I used the wrong words, mechanism, right? This is an amendment that's intended to protect the workers as they are making, whether or not it's termed repairs, inspection, maintenance, whatever the terminology is, we want to make sure that there is an adequate methodology that prohibits the unintended vertical movement. Is that fair? Or you can give me your
Councilwoman
own
Hodge
opinion.
Washington, members of the subcommittee, yes. The intent is to clarify the meaning of maintenance or inspection, as we are not changing anything about the wording of resulting in unexpected vertical car movement. That's still in there, as well as we are not changing any of the language about what this means of stopping that would have to be.
Okay. And I presume similar to the other code amendment that we talked about earlier, the implementation date would be August 1st, 2025, presuming all things move forward. If, for example, as we heard from the testimony, from the public comment, there are entities or companies that believe that they already comply with this and we are adding an additional step, can you talk me through how they could identify the ability to prove that?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, yes. The provision that could result in unexpected vertical car movement is there and has been there. And so proving that or demonstrating compliance with that is always been required, but there are mechanisms in place to specifically appeal to the building official to show that a particular piece of equipment meets the intent of that section, that it could not result in unexpected vertical car movement. If anybody is performing a repair, troubleshooting, maintenance, inspections, work on top of that elevator car, that could be appealed, and at which point we could look at the individual manufacturer's equipment and see what mechanisms they have in place to show that the unexpected vertical car movement cannot take place during that.
And my understanding of that would either take form in the, that would either be done possible in the form of a code interpretation application or a code modification. Is that accurate? And if so, can you explain what that would look like? what those processes look like.
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, yes, both a code interpretation and a code modification would be possible. Both follow very similar means of application. The relevant information about how a particular set of machinery or any particular item in the building code can be applied for an interpretation as to, does my piece of equipment meet this code provision? Or if I want to show that I'm meeting the intent of the code without necessarily meeting the wording of the code, then I can apply for a code modification showing that the essentially the unexpected vertical car movement concern has been taken care of in a different way.
Okay. And can you talk just a little bit about like the extent or the duration if you were able to successfully either get a code interpretation application or a code modification completed? Can you talk about like the time frame of how, like, is it every time I want to install one in a building I have to go through this process, or would I have kind of like I want to call it a license, but I would have something that justifies a more long-term solution?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, yes, such a interpretation or modification would be equipment specific, as it matters how that particular equipment functions, but that is a one-time application for that equipment.
And is it like an Arizona driver's license? Does it last until I'm 65, or is it, how long does it last?
This would last likely until, well, this would last until the City Council adopts a new version of codes, just in case the language has changed in this particular section or how this particular provision is regulated.
Okay. And then my last question, I'm going to break it up into two parts, is regarding the elevator component of the elevator language that we were talking about. Did we collect any information either from the stakeholders or independently to determine any data or cost comparison for how much this additional compliance would impact those affected?
Councilwoman Hodge Washington, members of the subcommittee, I do not believe that we've collected data on how much this would necessarily cost. I find that the question is a little hard to answer because we're not actually changing any of the means that are in the code. It's the interpretation of maintenance or inspections, but I could see how the question of if this is now decided that it's required and previously was decided was not required, how there would be the cost impact there. I do not believe we did stakeholder reach out to see what that cost comparison would be.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just double checking, make sure I got all my questions, and then I will yield it back to you, Chair. Sorry. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Pastor.
So I think I have you beat Councilwoman Stark. I went to 11.5 hour, 11 and a half yesterday, since my meeting was later on in the afternoon. And I appreciate my colleague, Keisha Hodge Washington, because she asked a lot of questions very similar to me. So she asked a lot of questions that were my questions. And one of the things that I want to say is, as we were speaking earlier about the design, I happened to land at 55, and I'm now a can qualify member of AARP. And I also am very much aware of how you need to retrofit a home, as I have an aging mother and is now having to use a walker within the house and retrofitting her bathroom and, you know, all these things that you don't think about. And one thing nobody can disagree with me on is that I'm pretty much very inclusive in the way I think, the way I act, and the way I look at policy. And I think policy has to be inclusive. And as I have read some of the code, I believe inclusivity needs to be a part of building. And that's also due to the fact that I happen to live in a historic home that is very tight. And as I age, I know if I try to retrofit that home, I'm not going to be to have the space that I have currently, and I will have to tear down walls just to even live. And so I understand why we are adding the language that we're adding and having a universal design. And really, I think that's important because I am aging with my home. I'm not one of those that a nature of staying where in space and time and place. And I am aging with my home, and I know what the future looks like in the sense of if I have to retrofit it, what am I actually going to do and what room am I going to give up or what wall in order to live. And I'm not really sure how I would do my bathrooms because my bathrooms are very small and what I would have to do. And as I think about it, I would have to knock down several closets and they're small. And so I lose that space. So I understand why we're here today with that language. So I agree with Councilwoman Stark and what has been written. I do know that she has worked with the home builders. I do understand saying we need some more room, and I think we did that. I think we compromised by adding the language that we added between today or the past. I don't know what the timeline is, but add that language for the timeline to incorporate the grandfather space. And then as we move forward in August, that's when it impacts builders, but they also know and they're aware. As it comes to, and who would ever known I would have been in this learning about the elevator industry, but as it comes to the code, I believe there's still some dialogue that needs to happen. And I strongly believe that there is documentation that was received this morning that we really couldn't, I saw a little bit of it, but we really couldn't vet it the way we need to vet it in order for that dialogue and to have that conversation. And I am hoping that by June 18th, when it comes in front of council, that dialogue has happened and the modifications that are needed are placed in there or the process is placed. I do understand that there is a process that you could go for variance and all these steps, but I think we can smooth that out and look at it. So I'm going to make a motion right now, and I'm going to make a motion. Move to approve the 2024 Building Construction Code per the May 21st, 2025 memo from the Planning and Development Department Director, with direction to continue working with the elevator industry on potential modifications to the proposed amendment to ASME A17.1 section 2.7.5.1.1. That is my motion.
And I'll second it. Any comments?
I guess, can I ask some clarification? So the motion is for them to continue to work on this language. Does that mean that this portion of the code would not move forward as part of the larger packet? I mean, I'm trying to understand.
No, the motion is to move everything through with SMME A17.1 section 2.7.5.11 for the elevator industry to continue working on the language so that June 18th language has been modified on this code.
Maybe just as point of clarification, it may not be modified.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, because that was my clarification. I'm like, are we going to approve it and then they're going to modify it?
No,
It kind
they're
of
going to,
seems.
Josh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Or else
Madam Chair.
I can take it out.
Madam Chair,
And they don't
members
want
of
me to do
the
that.
subcommittee, as I understand the motion from the councilwoman is to approve the building code as presented today by staff in the May 21st, 2025 memo from me, which would include the amendment as it's currently proposed. The direction from this subcommittee would be to continue conversations with the elevator industry, reviewing the language that they submitted this morning with the idea that there could be a potential modification or some other adjustment or a new process that would report back to the council on 6/18.
All right, everyone's looking at me, so I'll go ahead and ask my question. The language that was submitted this morning, just so I'm clear, it reads, the manufacturer or installer of machine room-less elevators that eliminate the possibility of unexpected vertical car movement are not subject to the requirement for a mechanical lock-in device and shall demonstrate the functionality of the system during the acceptance inspection of the unit. Maybe I'm missing something here, but wouldn't that be kind of equivalent to the, what did we call it? What is it called? The code interpretation application and or code modification application? It's just kind of have to prove this same concept.
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, staff has not had an opportunity to fully vet that language. As such, the recommendation that I believe the councilwoman has put forth directs us to continue to evaluate that for potential consideration on an upcoming another modification that may be considered on 6/18 if that's where we end up. But right now, that language, as you've just read into the record, is not part of staff's recommendation or referenced in the memo dated today with today's date.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm clear here. I'm sorry that I didn't get them. I'm going off of what was read. I didn't get to write it all down. But the motion is to continue the conversation with the elevator industry, move everything forward through at this juncture with the goal of hopefully being able to come to a consensus. But we would be approving the language as proposed by staff that includes when any work is performed, correct?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, that is correct.
And there is direction to engage in conversation, but no commitment one way or the other as to proposed language.
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, that is correct.
Thank you. I apologize for, but I just wanted to make sure I understood the full motion before I cast my vote. So thank you so much for the clarification all around. Thank you.
And how it reads is with direction to continue working with the elevator industry on potential modifications to the proposed amendment. You know the section.
Well, the reason I asked that is because it says for potential modification. That could give the implication that there are modifications to be made. And I just want to make sure that it's clarified.
Right. It gives flexibility and a dialogue. And if whatever, what we received this morning, because I haven't even read it. I know I received it. I haven't read it. Has any validity and a dialogue of yes, no, we can do. I don't think we had the opportunity to have that dialogue.
Okay, I appreciate all the clarification. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I think we have a unanimous vote. Thank you so much. Thanks again for your hard work. We next turn to call to public, and we have the city attorney explaining.
Thank you, Madam Chair. During citizen comment, members of the public may address the subcommittee for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The Arizona Open Meeting Law permits the subcommittee members to listen to the comments, but prohibits members from discussing or acting on the matters presented. Thank you.
3 minutes for public comment. Oh, two speakers. Okay. First speaker, Jerry Van Gass.
Thanks, Chair Deborah Stark and council members. I think it's still morning. You know, I try to remind council members that they have a fiduciary responsibility to manage Parks and Preserve Initiative funds in the best interest of the public. That's not happening out at Piestewa Peak. There's a project going on out there. We call it a mystery project because we haven't seen any authorization, any contract, any building permits, etc. But we do know that 3PI, Parks and Preserve funds, are being used. And what's really upsetting is we've obtained a document. And last 2 weeks ago, we gave you this flyer. But we also received a document since then that shows the footbridge that's being built out there. And there's a notation right above it. And in the flyer here, it also shows a trail that was demolished. Very first thing they did was demolish this nature trail. But they left the sign, it says Piestewa Nature Trail, named after Lori Piestewa and the family. And the drawing here of the bridge has a notation that they're building above it saying, existing trail to be obliterated. I don't know about you, but the word obliterated is really offensive to anyone. That means snuffed out. The Piestewa family was never even notified about this. They started 5 days after their annual sunrise service at that Ramada at the peak on March 23rd, April 1st, and it was no joke. They started blading into the preserve. They never went through council to get you can't go into the preserve without council approval. This is a reprehensible. I got to know 3 of the original founders that pushed for the preserve system there at Phoenix Mountains. They'd be appalled. There's one still alive. She's 102, Maxine Lakin, and she can't believe this is happening. And I can guarantee you, the 5 of those people, you would never have touched their trail. They all have trails named after them. The only one that's being ripped up and desecrated is the Piestewa Trail. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Tim Sierra-Kowski.
Tim Sierra-Kowski, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm doing cleanup today. This is good. I want to follow up with Jerry. I want you to visualize this. You're going to Piestewa, a beautiful, beautiful place to hike. You're driving into the park. You're looking at all the beautiful scenery. You're parking your car, and suddenly you look north and you see a 140-foot bridge. Now, just imagine, you're in a park system, and that back area is not really big, a 140-foot bridge so that the handicap can go there. Now, I'm stating we should do more for the handicap at the park. I think that's our obligation. But I think that we should have had more public input into a 140-foot bridge. I'd love to know who came up with this idea. I would love to see all the public input that wasn't taken at that time. And I'd like to ask where all this information is that we've requested now for the last month that we haven't gotten. If the city of Phoenix is talking about transparency, and they're always talking about transparency, then why can't we have a simple contract, the simple building permit? Why can't we have some of this simple information that should be available to the public? Instead, we haven't gotten anything at the present time. We've been told it's there. I've been told by Cynthia that she has it. I asked her today, where is it? If you told me the last meeting you have it, please send it to me so that we can look at it and then we can make it some type of advice to the city of, what's really going on here. I'm also trying to figure out why we would spend that amount of money, which we have no idea how much money it is, for this bridge that could be used, the money could be used for better things for the park instead of a 140-foot bridge. Think about that. You're going to the back of Piestewa and you're going to see a 140-foot bridge. I mean, I've never seen a 140-foot bridge that big in a park ever before. But I guess it's something new for the city of Phoenix and something new for the Parks Department. Maybe someday we'll get it straight. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comments. We turn to future agenda items. I believe you had one, Councilwoman Hodge?
Yes, I do, Chair. Thank you so much. I wanted to make sure that we added for an update on the downtown north-south bikeway study. Specifically, would love to hear an update as to the anticipated 3rd Street bike lane from Roosevelt to the Rio Salado Bridge area.
That sounds great. Do you have any, Councilwoman? Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a lot more plastics because it's just easier to transport and move through. So to adapt to those changing commodity types, we needed to retrofit this